What's up, toy shooters? We're doing another toy shot breakdown here. This is going to have an emphasis on blocking and reflecting. So I've got the setup with Doc Nocturnal here, one of Mezco's new Rumble Society figures. He gives me kind of a film noir, detective novel type of feel, old time. I think they even set the comic book that they gave you with him in the 40s. So this scene is, kind of something out of one of those books or movies. We've got Sasquatch over here, his arm coming through as some sort of nondescript, hopefully, even though he's orange, monster. And I'm using Gwen Stacy as the stand-in for the damsel in distress. This is a set by Josh Green, Sage JGG on Instagram. So the setup here is I've got the arm coming through, and I've got totally ACBA approved pieces of glass and broken window panes and things stuck to various parts of the figures. So the light I wanted to get on this was kind of a nighttime scene, and I wanted to really get those shadows that are kind of in keeping with that noir feel to it. So the first thing I did was I set up, I've got this, this is a Waylight, and this is a multicolored LED. So I set this to a blue color, and I put this back here. I've got this window back here that, while it's frosted, it's letting in a lot of that blue light from back here. And which is fine. I wanted it to be a little bit of a rim light on Doc. But I didn't want it to be too bright, and I liked the position where it was in the shot, where the angle that I've got the camera at. It wasn't showing back here through the window, so it was kind of tricky to position that and get the light that I wanted. So I didn't want to move the light or turn it just to keep the light out of that window. So I take my blocker. In this case, this is a blocker. This is white. It could be used as a reflector, but in this case, it's going to block the light. And I just placed it back here, just at an angle there to block the light from that window. I also added Lume Cube light. This also has a little bit of a blue gel in it, just a homemade thing that I cut out of some cellophane gels, and put that at about 3 or 4 power, I think, when I shot this. In this case, for the interior lighting and the key light, I'm using this Lume Cube that has a couple of gels on it, and it's got this refracting bubble, which when the light comes in here, it bounces around and it kind of sends the light around. What I didn't want was, if you can see when I turn this on, I like the way it was creating this shadow. Doc Nocturnal is very noir type looking thing. I like the way it was hitting the edge of Gwen and sort of rim lighting her and his cape and other things. But what I didn't like was all the light back here. It was just too much light. Now, again, I probably could have done this with the barn door, but when I got it set up, I liked the light as it was. I didn't want to take it out of place. I don't want to replace the attachment and try to futz around with that. So I took some of this stuff, which, again, I mentioned before. I call it photofoil. I think it's under photofoil, under one company that makes it. It's just matte black foil, and you can fold it in all sorts of shapes, and it holds its shape. And it's great for blocking. So in this case, all I did was I just took it and I folded it and I put it around the light. Now what I really wanted it to do was just knock out the light back here. So you can just kind of, twist it and fold it so you can get the light aiming in the directions you want it to go in, and cutting out of the places that you don't want it to cut in. So you can see the difference between the background there and the background here. Just takes that brightness right away, gives it more shadow, gives it more interest, mystery, brings the focus onto Doc Nock and the scene itself, and takes the background out of it a little bit while still leaving it in the shot. So you really see the difference now. So that's what I did there. The next thing I did was I wanted kind of a tinted light, a little more sinister look for Dark Nocturnal. So I just took one of these gels, any kind of gel that you can want to cut down to different shapes, and you can use these all over the place. So I had the orange here. At first I had it kind of covering the entire light, or two of these. And I didn't like the orange here. I wanted this part of the female Gwen here to recede a little bit so that Dark Nocturnal is still the focus and the main point of contrast in here. So I took a purple gel and I just put that on the side for Gwen. So now you can see that that's changed from a bright light to a little bit dimmer. It kind of plays off the purple in her shirt and skirt there, and the green and purple work well together. It just gives it more of a shadow feel. So I like that a lot better. I did end up putting this wall back to reflect a little bit of light, bounce a little bit of light, but you can see by looking at it, it's not a lot. There's a white part here. This is kind of a light green, so it does reflect, but it's not a massive amount of directed light. It's just kind of ambient, right? It just brings a little more light into the scene. So I took another clip, another card, another smaller piece of foam core, and I put that just about there. So that's taking some of this light. It's taking some of the light out here, the Lume Cube and the other light, the Wii light, and that's bouncing that blue. And it's a mix of lights actually onto Gwen here. It has the effect of just lighting her up a little bit more, so you can see some of the details of her face, of her hair. It just seemed a little dark on the front of Gwen. The contrast was good, but it just seemed like there just wasn't enough detail that you couldn't tell quite what was going on in here either. So this time I took a big card. Big 8.5 by 11, 9 by 12, whatever it is. Another clip. And what I'm doing here is I put this at an angle on the scene that allows the blue light to sort of bounce around. And this had a double effect of giving a little more definition to Sasquatch's arm, the monster's arm. And it had the effect of lighting up the front of Gwen. As usual, I'll add some fog to the shot for effect and atmosphere. My settings for this one were 2.5 seconds, exposure at f22, ISO 400. Now, I usually shoot at ISO 100, 160 maximum usually, but I also usually shoot at f22. There's a lot of depth here, so I opened it up for some more light. During a shoot, I'll take from several dozen to possibly hundreds of shots to get what I want, especially with fog, changes the image. I'll take those into Lightroom, edit a few of the better ones, apply it to everything, and then select what I like from there. Bring those into Photoshop. That's how I'll play with the colors, color gradients, exposure, contrast, etc. until I get something I'm happy with. That's the breakdown of this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the bell so you know when new videos are coming out. Thanks for watching.